Step 4 of our quick setup wizard involves setting up our extensions. Our first field is an extension number. You can put any extension number in here. In this case, I've just used 123. Then we need a first name and a last name for our directory. A description for the online account, and a ring to number where we want to send the calls for John Smith to. Next, we have some caller ID options. How do we want to identify that call coming to us? We can set it to call screening, which will ask the caller to record their name to be played to you before you answer the call. Simple connect with no identification. Call announce, where the system will let you know that there is an incoming call from the PBX before you answer it. Or play memo. In case you've already recorded a memo for this caller, it will be played before you answer it. You can choose whether or not to record the call here. If you choose to record the call, it will stay on the server temporarily, and you can download it at any time it's still there. Next, we have some routing options. We can direct connect the call to the ring to number, and then to the voicemail if it's enabled. We can put it through to several different operators sequentially at the same time, or queue the caller to wait in a queue until an operator is available. We'll get into those more in just a second. Lastly, we have our voicemail settings. We can enable it, disable it, or force it. Enabled means that the voicemail will pick up after the given number of rings here. If your own personal voicemail on this number picks up in 5 rings and you want the PBX voicemail to pick up first, you must always set it at 1 ring less. In our example, that would be 4. This is the capacity of the mailbox, how many messages it holds. The message size, and lastly, we need an email address where to send that notification to whenever a voicemail comes in. Our voicemail can also be disabled, meaning that we'll never pick up, or forced, meaning that we'll bypass the ring to number up here and go directly to the voicemail. Now let's go back to the routing options and have a look at some of those different advanced settings. Again, we can set it sequentially, meaning that instead of sending it to this ring to number when a caller calls this extension, we want to send it to multiple numbers. Sequentially means that we'll send it to them one at a time. Let's fill in some numbers here quickly, just to get an idea of how it works. Now let's say that operator 1 is available on Monday and Tuesday. Operator 2 is available on Tuesday and Wednesday, and operator 3 is available on Thursday and Friday, and nobody's working on Saturday or Sunday. We can also change the time a little bit if we'd like here to 10 to 6 p.m. Now, if somebody calls this extension on Monday, it would go to this phone number for 2 rings and then go to voicemail, or hang up if there's no voicemail, since nobody else is available at that time. But on Tuesday, if a caller calls between these 2 times, it would first go to this operator for 2 rings, and then our second operator for 2 rings, and then to voicemail if available, or hang up if there's no voicemail enabled. On Wednesday, only our second operator is available. We'll go to him for 2 rings, and then hang up, or voicemail if available. Thursday and Friday, the same situation, but with only operator number 3. And lastly, if a caller called on Saturday or Sunday, it would directly go to voicemail if available, or hang up. Routing the options simultaneously is the same as sequentially, except that in our example, instead of sending to operator number 1 and then operator number 2 in an overlapping period, like Tuesday, it would send it to both operators at the same time. Call queuing is similar as well, except that our callers will be held in a queue until an operator is available, as long as it's between these times and days that they're available. When we're all done setting up our extension, we can click Add New to create the next extension, or Next to move on to step 5. Or if we simply want to skip this step, we can hit Skip.